And this is the Get Started with Data Cloud presentation. This is something that I presented at TDX this year with a co-presenter, but he couldn't make it tonight to present with me, so I'm just presenting it myself. So a little bit about me. I'm Melissa Shepard. I'm a Salesforce senior technical architect. I am a MuleSoft ambassador, Salesforce MVP, a marketing champion. I co-lead the Boston Architect User Group and also an organizer for Northeast Dreamin' and Architect Dreamin' and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm always out there in the community presenting. So Arvind Ramon was my co-presenter on this, something we worked on together. He's from Salesforce. He's the Director of Partner Product Success, focusing on Data Cloud. And since Data Cloud is such a new product, I became very passionate about learning it and presenting it and teaching it to others. So we'll have a little bit of an overview of Data Cloud and then a little deep dive into more about it. And then I will go over a more detailed use case. And then also, if you're interested in learning it, how you can get started with it yourself. And then we can have some Q&A, I guess, after. So I think you can write your questions in the chat and then we can try to answer them afterwards. So with Data Cloud, there's really a few different important questions that you need to answer before you really even want to get started with it. First would be, what data needs to be brought into Data Cloud and where will you map it? How that data needs to be harmonized and unified, and what action needs to be taken on that data and why. So the whole idea behind Data Cloud is that it's giving you a 360 view of your 360-degree view of your customer. So it's bringing data together from multiple different systems and bringing it together in a view where you can see all that data connected together and then be able to take action on it. So it's not like you're using it for integration middleware. It's a whole different purpose, and I'll explain more of that as we go through this. So, as you know, connecting your data isn't easy. You have data from all different sources, and there's different ways to get data from different sources when it's not all connected together. So you might use something like middleware, like MuleSoft, to bring data from one place to another, or try to surface data in different ways. But in order to make sense of this data and to harmonize it and unify it, that's where Data Cloud comes in. So it actually can work with tools like MuleSoft. So I'll go over that as well. So it's a hyperscale data engine that's built into Salesforce. So it's actually built on Hyperforce. It helps you to know your customers so that you can connect and federate and harmonize this data from really any product and system so you can get that 360-degree view of your customer. And what this does is it enriches your data. So you have existing data in CRM, but when you're able to connect it with data from other systems, that data becomes more enriched and it becomes more valuable to your business and your users. And then because of this then lays a foundation for you to act on the data using AI. So Data Cloud really is the foundation of building any AI strategy within Salesforce. So there's many different things you can do on the Salesforce platform using the new Einstein 1 platform. This is the AI platform. And so once you bring your data into Data Cloud, you harmonize it and you transform it. There's a lot of different things you can do with that data and to gain more insights using AI. So why use it? So what exactly does Data Cloud do? So it harmonizes disparate data, which means you're bringing it into one place and you're matching and you're then creating these unified profiles with along with its related data to enrich that data. So then you can build insights on these unified profiles. You can segment this harmonized data, and then you can activate this data to drive more relevant experiences and also to support your AI. So the value that it brings is that you can harmonize the data at scale. So it's not always a good idea to bring this data onto the Salesforce platform. It's just not a good place to have a lot of data. Um, so it's kind of like being able to bring it on platform, but not really. It's off platform, but you're still able to do a lot of the platform things with it. It's got out of the box connectors. And then you can track the data back to the original source. That's the other nice thing about it. So it's not like you move it from point A to point B and then it just lives in point B, which is data cloud, and then you don't know where it came from. You actually have these data streams that get built so you can see where the data is coming from, what the source was. You don't lose that, but you just get a new view of that data, and then it's more enriched. And like I mentioned, it's you then can you use that data, you can act on it, and you can create more automated connected experiences for sales, service, marketing, all different things that you're doing within Salesforce. So what it's not an ETL tool. It's not middleware. It's not data cleansing. It's not master data management. It's not like a true golden record, even though you are unifying data into like this one unified profile. It's not the same idea as a golden record. It's also not data governance. It's not backup and disaster, and it's also not a BI platform, but it can support all of these things. So how it works is you have your different systems that you connect to. Some of these systems you connect to with out-of-the-box connectors. And there's APIs and SDKs. And then if you can't use an out-of-the-box connector, then MuleSoft actually provides more flexibility because there's a MuleSoft connector for Data Cloud. And this is where anyone that's into MuleSoft is going to care about Data Cloud, because then you can start bringing data in from all different places using MuleSoft. So then you're able to bring all this data into Data Cloud. You're able to harmonize it. You create a data model, and that data model is how you want to see the data, both using standard and custom objects within Data Cloud. And I'll get more into that as well. And then you map your data. And then you're able to activate your data to be used for things like calculated insights, segmentation, automations, your analytics tools, your BI tools, and then your AI, all kinds of things that you can do with it once it's brought in and you have it in a format that you want it. So a little deep dive into how Data Cloud works. So before Data Cloud, and even before any integration type of middleware, it's not an integration middleware, but before anything, you see how you have all these different point-to-point systems. If you want to have this 360-degree view, you've got to connect all these different things from all different places, and you end up with all these different point-to-point integrations. And so it really came from like the need of needing to unify data between like Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, Commerce Cloud, Marketing Cloud. And now it's just gone beyond that to extend to bring data from all different sources. So it gets very messy when you start trying to bring data in from multiple places like this. And you have all these point-to-point integrations. So after Data Cloud, it does create a single source of truth for you. So like I said, it's not middleware. It's not to replace middleware, but you can, as you can see, you can bring data in using your middleware, such as MuleSoft, into this single source of truth instead of bringing it all into Salesforce on platform. So you're still able to use your data from sales, service, marketing, commerce, and then all these other systems, by using your middleware, and then you have a single source of truth for your customer data and its related attribute data. So let's walk through how this works a bit. So we'll focus on the data sources and connecting and preparing your data to bring it into Data Cloud. So you can see that there's a bunch of pre-built connectors in here. This is where you can really take advantage of the out-of-the-box point-and-click capabilities of Data Cloud. I know that there's more connectors coming in the future, but there's quite a few you can work with now. And like I mentioned, if there's something you want to connect to that you can't, you can then utilize MuleSoft and the MuleSoft connector to bring that data in. So it's as easy as just when you coming in here and working with one of the pre-built connectors and you point and click, and even for the Salesforce orgs, you just click connect. You don't even have to enter your credentials. So then once you connect to a data source, then you're going to create a data stream for that source. So there's actually some pre-built bundles with Salesforce that help you set up all your source data and your data mappings to data model objects, which I'll go over as well. So it makes it a lot easier to get up and running for things like service or sales, or there's also the loyalty management bundle. So now you can also connect to your data lakes, such as Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, or Amazon Redshift, and it works with zero copy. So you're not actually bringing the data in, but you can stream the data and unify it, but not actually copy it in a data cloud. So that's something new that has just come out recently. So this is an example of setting up a connection. So if you wanted to connect to Snowflake, there's just a few details you need to add, and pretty easy to just set that up and get it connected. So then once you do that, then you're creating the data stream. So you choose the objects that you want to bring in, the data that you want to bring in through that data stream. And then there's ways you categorize the data, such as profile, engagement, or other. So it's just a way of saying this is the kind of data that I'm bringing in. So engagement would be something like an order was placed, or profile would be information about the customer, more like demographic type data. So as you can see, once you create your data stream, there's all different data streams that get created. You can see the status of the run and the number of records that were brought in, and then the last time it was refreshed. So different data sources have different refresh intervals that you can set. Some are more real time, some are near real time, some are batch. So it all depends on your data source. So then once you bring the data in, then you can build transformations on this data. This is so that you can get the data into a format and structure that you want while it's living in Data Cloud. So there's streaming data transforms, so you can set these up in SQL Builder. This is your near real-time processing, and with the builder, there's rapid deployment. Then you can have batch data transform. So this is going to be on probably like a not real time, but it's going to happen like maybe every hour or so. You can use the visual builder here, and then you can set up advanced data transformations, and then you can automate and monitor workflows for these transformations. And it gives you a nice visual tool. And then you can also build things such as formula fields. These are row level operations that you can set for your data. So if you want to see a couple of fields concatenated together and then put that into another field within Data Cloud, you can do that with your formulas. And you can also do things such as generate compound keys if you have two values from two different systems that are the same and you want to make them unique. So now we'll get to the harmonizing aspect of Data Cloud. The first part of harmonizing is your data modeling. So you've got your data sources, you've got your data streams, but now you're going to figure out where that data is actually going to go in Data Cloud. So when you're doing this, you really need to understand and inventory all of your source data, and then understand where you can use the standard data model of Data Cloud. So there is a standard data model, just like there is for Salesforce CRM. And then you get to figure out where you're going to map this data. So you got to figure out, can I use standard objects in Data Cloud? Do I need to create custom attributes on some standard objects? Do I need to create whole new objects? And then you want to also think about your relationships between all those objects. And then you can also enhance this data being brought in with calculated and streaming insights. So it's really important to have a well-planned and well-designed data model, because it's going to help you drive your harmonization. And part of your harmonization is your modeling and your mapping of your data into Data Cloud. So with the data mapping, you're going to, there's 3 different types of Data Cloud objects you need to think about. So you're going to first map your data from a data lake object to a data model object before it can even be used in things like segmentation, activation, and analytics, and whatever else you're going to do with it. And then an attribute is something that is like a field that is a specific piece of data in a data model object. So an example of this would be first name. So this is where you're going to create custom fields or custom objects is in your DMOs. So that's your finalized version of your group to mapped source data with relationships to other DMOs. Then you also have data source objects. Those are the original file format, such as your CSV or transient data storage. So that's when you connect to your data source. So that's what the data source object is. And the data lake object is kind of like this intermediary place where your data is brought in and then you can see it and then map it to your DMO. So that is automatically created from the data stream for you. So you don't have to worry about creating those. So once you decide where you want to put your data and you have your data model set and you know where this data is going to go, then you can use the mapping tool. So you can map with clicks and no code. So this is probably something very familiar for anyone that lives in an integration tool such as MuleSoft. You've got your data source data on the left and your target data on the right. And this is where you can do things such as build transformations and bring data into where you need it to be. Oops, what happened? And this is another example of what the data mapping looks like in Data Cloud. So very powerful. It's something new that we're not used to just living on platform. But if you're used to integration, this is going to be no problem for you whatsoever. And this is what the standard data model looks like in Data Cloud. So there's a lot of different objects to understand and be aware of. You've got engagement objects. You get privacy and consent. There's product. There's also objects for leads and accounts and individuals and contacts. So understanding these objects and how they relate to each other and where you might want to use them is extremely important because you don't want to be customizing when you can be taking advantage of what's already there. So a little bit about the standard versus custom data modeling. Why use a standard data model? Well, some standard objects are required for the Data Cloud identity resolution, and the identity resolution is one of the most important aspects of using Data Cloud. Also, this aligns with Salesforce's opinionated data model. It also speeds time to value by relying on the pre-built object relationships. And also, you can grow your implementation because a lot of App Exchange and vendors are putting things out on App Exchange that are using the standard data model object. So there's going to be a lot of apps coming that you can use with Data Cloud. But then why use custom? Well, you might have an established in-house data model. And also, this allows marketers and data consultants to interact with this model that they're already familiar with. And also, it matches existing data structures for easier integration and implementation. And then provides the ability to create custom objects, fields, and relationships. So that's so that if your data doesn't fit into the standard data model, you have a place to put it and a way to relate it and make sense of it to enhance and enrich your existing data. So really the ideal approach is to use standard and custom and really try to stick to standard as much as possible and only go custom when necessary. So a little bit of a recap of how this all works. So you create your data streams. Those are created when you connect to your data sources. Then once you bring the data in from the data streams, this is where your data source object is created. And then this automatically creates your data lake object. And then from there, you're going to map your data lake object to your data model. And that data model object is the finalized version of how you want to see your data within Data Cloud. It's your materialized or your view on top of your data lake objects is really what it is. And this is what it will look like in Data Cloud when you have your data model built. So you can see that there's all these different objects and it shows all the different relationships between them. So this is your data graph. So then we come to the unify part of Data Cloud. So let's see how the unification works. So unification is built on the identity resolution. So what you would do is you would create identity resolution rules. This is matching rules and reconciliation rules. So the matching rules, if anyone's ever created duplicate rules in Salesforce is familiar with this, you create a way to figure out how something is a matching record. So there might be fuzzy matching on like name and email and address and where they live. And then there's reconciliation rules. So those are the rules that you're going to build to determine how you're going to reconcile between all these different data sources. And then once you build these rules and they run on all your source data, then you end up with this unified profile. And you can see an example here of some of the matching rule criteria you would see. And then you see here, so this is an example of what it looks like in your identity resolution rule. The match rules here at the top, and then you have your reconciliation rules here at the bottom. And there's different rules for the different objects that you're matching on. And these are standard objects that it's using to run these rules. And then once you have all your data reconciled and you have your unified profiles, the last part is you want to actually act on this data. So that's why you brought all of this data into Data Cloud. Is you brought it in so that you could actually use it, so that it could be of value to your business. So you might want to use it back in Salesforce. You might want to use it for Einstein or Einstein Studio. You might just want to use it in segmentation, build calculated insights. There might be automations that you want to run on it, or you might want to use it for analytics or even some third-party application or tool. So there's different ways that you can act on your data and get value from your data. Analytics and insights. So you can build Data Cloud reports and dashboards. These can live alongside Salesforce standard reports and dashboards. You can build calculated insights. Then there's data sharing back with Snowflake, Databricks, Redshifts, if you have any of those data warehouses, or you might want to use it in maybe Tableau or your CRM analytics. Then you can also activate your data. This is when you can use it in segmentation, or you might have a data action, such as a platform event or flow that you're going to run from this data action. There's also CRM enrichments. You can copy fields back into CRM, or you also can have Data Cloud triggered flows. And this is something that's new as well, which is pretty cool. So that's one of the coolest parts of this data being in Data Cloud, is it's really not on platform, but you get to use some of these platform capabilities on the data. Whereas before, using things like external objects, it's data virtualization of external data, but you really couldn't do any of this automation type stuff on it. And then, as I mentioned, you can use it with an Einstein Studio model builder. This is for your machine learning, or you can actually bring your own model as well. So you can use it with things like Amazon SageMaker or Google Vertex. There's some examples out there from Danielle, the Data Cloud Developer Advocate, about using Amazon SageMaker. And then you can also consume Data Cloud data back into Salesforce through Lightning Web Components. There's also some standard components that you can use. There's the Query API, Profile API, Data Graphs, and then CRM enrichment, such as related lists with backend CRM. You can see a better view of your data using these using related lists. So we're going to focus on a few of these and just look at them really quick. So Data Cloud triggered flows. This is brand new. So you will see this, a different type of flow that you can build. So you can automate and orchestrate using this data. You can fire on Data Cloud changes with a new flow entry point. That's actually really cool. You can also target specific changes through data space groupings, and there's backwards compatibility with existing flows. And then there's Data Cloud reports and dashboards. So as I mentioned before, you can combine these with your regular CRM data in a single dashboard. So this gives you self-service reporting, multi-object reporting on all Data Cloud objects can be done in here. So um, this is a really cool feature as well. And something I should mention is that your Data Cloud org can be your regular Salesforce org, or it can actually be a whole separate org. So it also can be used to unify data from multiple Salesforce orgs to see that data in each of those different orgs. So as you can see here, this is how you could enhance your view of your data within Salesforce CRM. So you see more data such as contact engagement metrics over here. You can see the data in the middle, such as lead and account and contacts records from across all Salesforce orgs that are related. So that's how you could have a single view of all your data in multiple orgs. And then you can see over here on the right, it's got product usage from a BigQuery, bring your own language, and then interaction history down here that's combined from all different sources. So it's pretty powerful and pretty cool what you can do with it. Then there's the segmentation. So you can segmenting data is kind of like slicing your data into a more narrow view. So you might want to set some criteria of how you want to see that data and slice it up to be used for specific things. So this is like maybe if you have a marketing campaign, or you want to focus on sales on a certain population of your data, or maybe there's something that's happening where you need to have a service notification for certain people that bought certain things. There's all kinds of things you can do once you start to segment your data. And then you can also use the integrated Einstein calculated attributes to add modeled data like propensity and lifetime value scores. And also run immediate queries and get immediate segmentation populations, unlocking the ability to test and learn. So I don't know a whole lot about that. I haven't played with that or too much yet, but there's some cool things that you can do with it. And then also you can create segments via AI GPT. So you can use generative AI here to create your targeted audiences without using SQL or requesting data. And this is also newer as well. I'm not too familiar with this part of Data Cloud yet, but I know it's really part of fueling this whole AI strategy. So, why would you care about all this? So this was when we did this presentation at TDX, it was really geared at the admins, and these are things that a Salesforce admin might care about. Being able to easily connect and test and validate data from these data sources without having to build their own custom integrations. It helps to manage storage on platform. So there also might need to be custom exception handling built when moving data. And then also the creating of monitoring and alerts and performing updates. So also without Data Cloud, the data model creation and testing is you have to think about where this data is going to go. You got to think about how you're going to create it. With Data Cloud, you already have this standard data model where you can use it out of the box. A lot easier to maintain it, a lot easier to build these rules for thinking about what's a duplicate and what's related. That's a lot harder when you don't have something as powerful as Data Cloud. So there's in Salesforce's duplicate rules, but that just identifies duplicates. It doesn't give you a way to actually bring the data together in one view. And then it also makes things such as multi-org integrations a lot less complex. So that's something that's always been kind of complicated in the past. Really, the best ways are MuleSoft or Heroku. But now this makes it a little bit easier to integrate and use that data from multiple orgs without having a complicated integration strategy built. And then being able to match that data. And also you can develop your own ML models by building these point integrations. So we'll get into some use cases. Typically, users aren't going to ask you for a data cloud. They're not really going to know much about it, and they're not going to say, hey, let's get this thing, unless they have learned a lot about it and they really can see the value. But you might hear them saying they want to increase agent productivity to get quicker access to their customer data. Or maybe the sales team is having a hard time because there's a lot of bad data and they don't know which records to use. So that's really hurting their productivity. Something that's very common that I've been seeing recently on some projects I've been on is a lot of duplicate accounts. And maybe the account is being used by different sales reps in different regions, but they're creating their own different accounts, and then you have all these duplicate accounts, and they're not able to have this full view into this one customer. Maybe they want to use AI to increase their efficiency and build automations, or even their service is having a hard time getting a single view of the customer and their data. So maybe you have multiple orgs and they can't see all the data that's in all these different orgs. Also, there's maybe the need to improve productivity and automating processes across multiple orgs. Then there's also the typical more the engagement use case, more the marketing types of use cases, being able to create more real-time experiences for users and customers, and then just having better insights into your data for a sales team to know where to focus and what to actually um, be trying to pinpoint, like with sales, or where their time is going to be best spent. So here's a simple use case of how you can really leverage data cloud for your business users. So we'll walk through what this might look like. So you might have, this is typical, what we see a lot is you have sales order data in an ERP system. So that ERP system, likely you don't have a Salesforce out-of-the-box connector for it yet. So this is where you can bring MuleSoft in. So the MuleSoft connector can be used to connect to this ERP system to bring in customer data, sales orders, products that are related to these orders for your customers. And then you have these customer records sitting in Salesforce as well. So then you're going to use your Salesforce CRM connector to connect to your customer data there. And then you might have some data sitting in Marketing Cloud. That's where you can use the Marketing Cloud connector to connect and bring that data in from Marketing Cloud as well. So how could you accomplish this? So these are the steps that you would take. So you would connect to the different data sources, MuleSoft for ERP, the Salesforce CRM connector for CRM, and then the Marketing Cloud connector for Marketing Cloud. From there, you create your data streams. This is where your data is going to come in, and it's going to then create your data source objects and then your data model objects. So then you're going to have all this data from these different sources, and you're going to map all this data to your DMOs. This is the model that you decided on, that you want to house all your data and how you're going to actually use your data. And then you want to build your identity resolution rules to match your data between your ERP, your CRM, and your Marketing Cloud customers. So there you're gonna find some connection between these three systems to say this order belongs to this customer in CRM that's also had all this marketing done in the marketing system. So you can then create insights on their segments of data. Maybe you want to try to see who has purchased certain products from a specific campaign, or maybe you want to use some data actions and flow to consume this data back into Salesforce. You need to create a task or an opportunity. Maybe you need to follow up with someone who purchased a specific type of product. You can also then create segments of these customers where they match certain demographics, maybe age groups, or live in certain areas. And then you can even activate this data back to Marketing Cloud and then use a new marketing campaign. So you can see once you bring this data in, there's multiple ways that you can use it. It's not for one thing or the other, but it can go to many different places for many different uses. And then maybe your marketing team wants to send emails to these customers who have not bought certain products. So that way you can have this insight into your data that you wouldn't typically have where it's sitting in all these different systems disparately. So how can you get started with Data Cloud? There is free data cloud that is for customers with Enterprise, Unlimited, or Unlimited Plus. So that's if you are a customer, but also if you want to start learning data cloud, you can do that on Trailhead. So you can now get a hands-on org that is a 5-day trial. So this is great because before you had to request one as a partner. So now you can get in to Trailhead, get a 5-day trial org. You can go through this trail mix here with this link to get up to speed on data cloud. So you can start ingesting data from CRM. You can play around with it, creating formulas. You can play around with the mapping of your data to your DMOs. So this is the link here for the developer org. And also this QR code here is a link to the PDF of this presentation from TDX. So I don't know if that's something you can scan and bring up. So that should give you a copy of this that has all the links and everything in it. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Melissa. That was really insightful. Thank you for sharing all the hard work you put into this for TDX and then repurposing it here for this group who might have not been able to attend in person. Oh, Francis has already started the trailhead, which is amazing.
Good.
This group does not waste any time. We did have one question come into the Q&A chat box, but I believe it was before you touched on the MuleSoft portion of Data Cloud. But just to reiterate, Smitha's asking, how does Data Cloud and MuleSoft integration help? Are they helpful, or are we looking at moving out of MuleSoft? And I think you might have answered that, but if you want to just reiterate to help give clarity for folks who might have missed that.
Yeah, so Data Cloud is something that would be used in tandem with MuleSoft. So MuleSoft is your way to move data from one place to the other. Data Cloud is the place where that data is going to sit so that you can then harmonize it and then use it in other systems. So yeah, they're great together. Bringing the two together is really powerful. So not one or the other, but both.
Yeah, that better together messaging I think is so important. I can't tell you how many times I had folks come up to me at TDX at the booth before they had seen the Data Cloud session that were like, can you tell me the difference between Data Cloud and MuleSoft? And I was like, go to this session. Because I think that there's a lot of confusion around when it's best to use it. So I love that you're bringing this knowledge to the masses. So thank you for that. Let's see, any more questions? I don't see any more coming through the Q&A box. Let me quickly check the chat. Oh, thank you. Andy has linked to another Data Cloud presentation as well. If folks are interested in learning more and want to check that out.
Yes, that was through our group, the Boston Architect Group, and he really got into more of the architecture. So anyone that wants a little bit of a deeper dive, more of the technical aspects of it, that's in that presentation. And Andy helps get our presentations uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, that's a good one.
Love that. This presentation, for those of you who are curious about the recording, I've just messaged our head of social, and we are going to go ahead and upload to YouTube and create a playlist for all of our TDX sessions that we'll be showcasing. And I will send a link to that in a follow-up email to everyone who RSVP'd, because I know we had a lot of folks who wanted to attend, but time-wise, it was just a little tricky for them. So appreciate those of you on the call. I will give us about 30 seconds of uncomfortable silence in case any questions pop through in the time being. Let's see. Ooh. Yes. Okay, Andy has a question. Is it hard to test the match?
The matching?
Yes, the matching identities. Thank you for the clarification.
Is it hard to test it? No, I don't believe so. So you would want to, you can bring data in, you mean before it actually gets matched. You want to verify it, and then you would actually want to then, there's like a preview, I believe, of how it will actually match and what it will look like, so that you can then get your rules kind of fine-tuned. So you say, okay, this looks good, because it gives you the number of records that can consolidate and everything. So yeah, there's a whole, it's very easy to test it in there before you actually run it and say and actually have it like activated and production ready. So That's something I think you can play around with when you get the Trailhead org.
Yeah. Highly recommend Trailhead for everyone. If you're a MuleSoft user and you haven't created your TB ID yet, that is absolutely going to be necessary in the next coming month. So if you haven't done that, this is a great opportunity to do that. And also check out the Data Cloud Trailhead module, which is, they're always super helpful for me, at least to gain a basic understanding. And then of course, once you play around with it, things become a little bit more concrete.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, there is the Data Cloud certification. If anyone hasn't heard about it, that's one of the new ones. I got it back in January, and it actually goes over all of that stuff, like the matching and the rules and the testing and the previewing and all that kind of stuff. So it's a Data Cloud consultant certification. So those are the types of things that it's going to go over. What are the best practices? All that kind of stuff.
Love it. Okay. I don't see any further questions. We just have comments on how excited everyone is to learn more about Data Cloud. And yes, I've noticed the quality of our Bevy broadcast has improved significantly as well. So, okay, thank you for those of you who've joined us for just getting some thank yous. I'll go ahead and stick around for about 30, 45 more seconds just in case anything comes through. But for those of you who are able